you can get good return from the stock only if the stock is belonging to a performing good sector. Yes, in this video we're going to talk about sector and subsector analysis, which is the second layer of top-down approach. And if you can identify a sector which is going to boom, which is in a growing phase, in a growing expansion phase, if you pick up an undervalued company from that particular sector, the chances of you making money are super high, super rich. So let's dive into the sector analysis formula. Welcome, I'm Amit Forward, welcoming you to this Investing Mastery series, and we are on day number 11. Yes, my dear friend, if you're not, realized, we are on day number 11 of Investing Mastery series. And as usual, I'm going to request you, if you have not gone through the previous videos, you've missed something really amazing. And you will not be able to understand fully what I'm talking about if you've not gone through my earlier videos. So please go through the earlier videos. If not, and let's jump into the sector analysis video. So what is a sector? A particular company can perform well only broad sector to which company belongs is performing well. See, when you're trying to find a good company, when you're trying to find a good stock to invest into, the first necessary, as I talked in my previous video, is macro analysis factor, macro factors. There has to be, there must be policies which are, which are friendly by the government. Then only that particular company, that particular sector can grow. Like if government is de-incentivizing some sector, it cannot, and no company within that sector can perform well if the macro factors are not supporting you. Right? That is something we discussed in my previous video that about macro analysis. So for a sector even to perform well, macro factors help is very much needed. Like as I talked in the last video, let's talk in current video as well. Now when the government is incentivizing local made in India defense equipments and all that, then but naturally defense sector is going to remain in boom for some years, right? So a particular company, forget about company, I'm talking from a broader perspective. A sector itself can perform well only if there are macro factors supporting that. Like if you talk about the eras of 1990s and all, our Indian governments were not incentivizing private banks, and hence there were very few private banks in that era. Major bank was SBI, and SBI had its chain of local like State Bank of Gujarat. Then if you go State Bank of Saurashtra, State Bank of Maharashtra, then the merger happened and a big entity was formed like State Bank of India. But until the later part of 1990s, private banks were not incentivized. Private banks were not motivated. Private banks were not given the freedom in the policy, right? So a particular company can perform well only if the broad sector to which company belongs is performing well. What is sector? A sector refers to a broad group of companies doing the similar business. For example, it can be banking sector, IT sector, pharma sector, auto sector. Like banking sector, it includes all bank, SBI, HDFC Bank, Axis Bank, ICICI Bank, IDFC Bank, Karur Bank, Bandhan Bank, so on. IT sector, it includes TCS, Wipro, Infi, and Torrent. Torrent ka bhi not Torrent. I'm really sorry. There are many IT companies that are performing in India. Pharma sector, Torrent Pharma, Sun Pharma, Oro Pharma. There are many pharma companies. Auto sector, Hero Motocorp, Bajaj. These are the TVS. These are the auto sectors. Aisha Motors, which produces Royal Enfield. So these are the sectors. These are the companies within each sector. So typically, what we mean by sector is sector typically means a group of companies doing the similar business. Fair enough. Now, having analyzed sector, it is also very important to understand subsector to which company belongs. Now you might ask me, Amit, what is the need of subsector? Because like if we take an example of auto, there are different subsectors like two-wheelers, four-wheelers, and luxury cars. Now, why it is important to understand subsectors? My dear friend, it is important to understand subsector because, like for example, if we take auto, two-wheelers may come under necessity, four-wheelers may go into luxury, and luxury cars are definitely luxury, right? So, for example, if a recession is set in, a company producing only four-wheelers like Tata Motors, like Mahindra, they'll be having a huge impact compared to companies which are producing two-wheelers like Hero Motocorp. I hope you guys are understanding. Like if there is a recession, I will not take car. I'll not upgrade my car. But if I'm an employee or if I'm an professional person, bike is something that is must. I may not upgrade a four wheeler, but my wife, my sister, my mother may need an Activa, scooty or something. So when we talk from a broader perspective, we say that there's an auto sector, but auto sector has two wheelers, four wheelers. The characteristics, the economic dependence are way too different when we talk about auto companies as far as two wheelers and four wheelers are concerned. Similarly, chemical, there are industrial chemicals, there are pharma chemicals, there are many chemicals. So that is something that you need to understand. And if you can find out a sector which can be sector for the next decade, your chances of compounding increases by the large extent. This is the importance of this video. If you can figure out which sector is going to outperform, you will accumulate wealth like crazy. Mark my words. If you feel like energy by listening to my words, type in crazy in the chat box. If you can find out the sector which is going to perform well, and if you invest in an undervalued company within that sector, you will grow your wealth many fold. There's no doubt about that. Okay. So, for example, let's take examples of some decades and best performance sectors. So, if I talk about 1990s to 2000, that particular point of time, IT was a booming sector. So, those who have invested into Infi or Wipro during that particular time, they've amassed huge wealth. And probably you or your parents, if you are one of them, just do let me know in the chat box. I'll be happy to know that whether I'm conducting this video in the right way or not. 2000 to 2010. As I said, IT and real estate, IT sector was still in boom, and the real estate came into picture where DLF and all grew crazy. 2010 to 2020. In late 2000, after the globalization and all that, Indian government also started promoting and started allowing, rather than the right word is allowing than promoting, private sector banks. So during that 10 years, pharma and private sector banks just zoomed in. Like HDFC Bank is probably the biggest compounder that has arisen out of that particular period, 2010 to 2020. In fact, Axis Bank, all these companies came into picture. Yes Bank, it grew, of course, though the fact of the matter remains that at the later part, Yes Bank collapsed because of the management issues and all that. But yeah, Yes Bank also was one of that boom, 2010 to 2020, right? And now, guys, 2020 to 23, I want to ask you guys, which sector, according to you, is going to be the sector for the next 10 years or next 15 years or next 20 years? According to you, do let me know in the chat box which sector is, according to you, going to be the sector that will compound your wealth like crazy in next 15 to 20 years when we are sitting in the year 2025. Now, if you ask me, Amit, which sector you would like to invest in? Which sector you would like to invest in? Of course, this is not any buy sell recommendation, but if I can foresee next 10 to 15 years, one sector that I'm super optimistic is AI, artificial intelligence. You probably when you're watching this video, you must be hearing that everywhere there is AI. And now, even when I'm recording this video, it's not about AI. There are AI agents, agentic AI. And second sector, if which I'm very bullish on as far as the next decade is concerned, is green energy, renewable energies. Again, I'm not a SEBI registered investment advisor. These videos are being recorded, prepared just with the intention to help you to understand the concepts. Do consult your financial advisor, but this is how do my sector. This is how I do my sectoral analysis. If you talk about IT companies, as of now, they are super overvalued. They will not build wealth for me now. Like if you look at TCS, if you look at the Infi, the share prices are so skyrocketing, there is no undervaluation. Because since last 20 years, the sectors have been in boom, people have been focused on that. Everybody has purchased TCS, Info, Wipro during past 20 years. So now the valuations are not that lucrative. Please understand that for me to make money, for me to compound my money, for me to make the wealth, it is very necessary that I buy a stock which is undervalued. I invest in a company which is undervalued, then only I'll compound my wealth faster. Like these days, if you invest into top companies, you will not compound your wealth. Okay. And also at the same point of time, in the next video, I'll talk about when you're doing company analysis, you must also ensure that the company in which you're going to invest must align with the futuristic sector growth. Okay, so this was the video about sector and subsector. I hope you loved it. And in this particular video, I want you to write down in the comment box what was your biggest learning from this video. So two things I want you to comment on. Number one, according to you, which is the sector for next 10 years or next 15 years down the line? Which sector is going to outperform in next 10 to 15 years down the line? And second thing I want you to write down in the comment boxes, what was your biggest learning from this particular video? I hope you're loving the series. If you're not subscribed to our channel, do it right now. Hit the like button to this video. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.